friends! Welcome back! Today I'll be working on the last part of my yearly setups in my journal. I only have a few spreads left and I'm going to try and keep it pretty simple and easy today. Also, please excuse my voice as I get over this bug that I'm fighting. First spread we'll be working on is related to my goal of befriending a snake, or more accurately, snakes as a species. So for this, I penciled in a dopey looking cartoon snake. Please don't judge my skills. My artistic abilities are very low, so I did the best I could. I was actually hoping to find some stickers at my local craft store, but surprise, surprise, stickers of snakes are not very popular. So I had to resort to my own creativity. All right, let me outline the snake in a pen so I can erase my pencil marks, and above him I will add a little title of friend. Alright guys, here we are. I have a space for where I can start working on my goal of befriending snakes. Clearly, art was not a strong subject for me, but I think my derpy friend looks kind of cute. Next, I'm going to work on another spread for my goal of having 12 new experiences. For this goal, I'll be using 4 pages total, just so I have plenty of space to document what it is that I'll be doing. And because these new experiences may range from things that are very simple, like trying a new food, to maybe something more complicated, like an activity that requires more planning, I want to leave the space flexible. I'm assuming generally I'll be able to fit about 3 experiences per page, but I don't want to designate the space for each one to allow the spread to be a little more dynamic and practical. The only thing I will add is a title so that I know what these pages are intended for. For titling these pages, I'll use a little banner with 2 quick lines and then just the words new experiences repeated in that line throughout the next 2 pages. That way the title is not taking up too much space on the pages, but it designates them as to what they're for. Alright friends, this is all I'm doing for these 2 pages. I'll know exactly what they're for. I'm keeping it very simple with the title. It sort of reminds me of caution tape. I think that's what I was thinking coming up with this. And the last thing we're putting into the journal is my never-ending to-do list. Alright, here is last year's journal, where I had this list started, and I'll be copying some of the things that are still relevant into the new journal. This is a list of all the to-do tasks that are not related to my goals or anything else that I'm tracking in the front of my journal. Usually I'll flip to the back of my journal, go a few pages in, thus allowing myself infinite space, and then I'll start making a list of anything that comes to mind that needs to be done that I cannot do at that moment or immediately. That way I can flip back into here, see what needs doing, but also it's a space where I can free my mind from having to juggle all the things. Alright, here is my perpetual to-do list. I have the space ready to transfer over things from last year's journal that are still relevant, and it shouldn't be that much for that, and plenty of space to add new things. Once I'm done with this column, I've marked where the middle of the page is, and this will be a second column. I just did not draw in the circles just yet. And then I have plenty of pages back here so I can go on and on if I really need to, which I never had. Okay, lastly, I have a bonus yearly tool that I use, and that tool is Post-it notes. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen me use Post-it notes multiple times. So let me show you where and how I use them and how they're helpful for me throughout the year. First things first, I always have a few post-it notes stuck in the back of my notebook, just in case I need to grab one quickly when I'm not home, or even if I don't want to get up off the couch. Also in the back of my notebooks, I typically have a to-buy list. This is a list for things that come to mind that I want to purchase that are not like weekly grocery items. These might be things that I want to look for on Amazon, items of clothing, or other things that I don't need immediately, but I've realized I'm running low on, or I need to replace, or I found a need for. Let me show you last year's notebook. See in the back here, I have my extra post-it notes in case I need them. And I do have my to-buy list. This is not the list encompassing all of last year. I've probably checked that one off and threw it away. And I did just buy a new pen, and I did get a new drain strainer maybe a month or so ago. So technically nothing from here needs to transfer into my new notebook for this year, but it is a great place just to have somewhere to drop those ideas as they come to me, and I can look back and see what I need just to keep my thoughts organized. I also use post-it notes to make regular shopping lists. This is the one from this week, for example. You typically don't see it in the notebook as I'm setting things up, just because I feel like they're in a way, so I tend to take them off and put them on the side. But throughout the week, as I think of what I need from groceries or anything else that I need to buy when I'm out, I can just write that in, and then I can grab that, stick that in my wallet, and when I'm out shopping, I know exactly what I need. So this list, I actually pulled back out from my wallet from my shopping yesterday, and I can check off anything that I bought, or if there's something on the list that I still need and I wasn't able to buy, I can start a brand new list here and then just start jotting things down, which is usually what I do. I also use post-it notes throughout the year to remind me of things. So in the beginning of this notebook, I have post-it notes relating to my theme, my focus, and my goals. And I've had these post-it notes before I ever set up these pages, because as I was planning my year, it's very easy to look back on these ideas and see if I'm still happy with my choices or if anything needs to change. And if so, it's very easy to take one out and replace it with something else, and then see if that makes more sense. Just kind of lets me sit with my thoughts. I've also used things like this in the past if I needed more of a reminder of what my focus is. For example, I could take this post-it notes and place it on my monthly page, so I have it right there and I can look at it. I could remind myself on a more regular basis of what it is that I want to be focusing on, and then I can move this post-it note month to month if I need it. I also do that on the month to week level, where there are specific habits I'm struggling with, or part of a goal I need to focus on, or something like that, and I really want to emphasize that to myself. I can use a post-it note as a glaring reminder of what needs to be done. Again, you don't really see them that much when I do my weekly setups or reviews, just because they tend to be in the way at that point when I'm trying to show you the page, so I just move them over, or it's something I've taken care of, so I just take the post-it note and I've thrown it away by then. So even though I am looking back here at my monthly, you know how your brain sometimes doesn't want to see something that you don't want to deal with, and I tend to get that selective blindness. I do like having a post-it note just as an extra reminder, something to prod me along. And lastly, the biggest thing I use my post-it notes for is to organize my thoughts, brainstorm, and plan. So I'll show you a few of my prior year journals to demonstrate what that looks like. Here, for example, I was planning for the month of January a couple of years back, and I had a list of habits, goals, things like that I wanted to take care of that month. So I did some brainstorming here before I actually set up the month. Here is another journal from a couple of years back. I did some planning for January here. I had come up with the themes, the habits, other ideas for the month. Same thing here for February. It was just somewhere for me to jot down ideas and do some brainstorming. And as you can see on this side, I was also doing some planning for a future year's journal. So I was doing brainstorming on post-it notes of what my yearly trackers or yearly spreads would be. And I was even drawing out little doodles to jot down ideas of how I wanted that to look in my notebook. You've definitely seen me use a lot of post-its for planning. Here I was planning out each of the weeks before actually setting them up in the notebook, mainly because I needed more organization and I needed a way to help me get into the groove of things. So I was planning each week on a post-it and then transferring that information into the notebook once I was satisfied with my plan. I still do that now. For example, I'm planning a new challenge starting April 1st. So I am brainstorming a little bit here on diet quote-unquote plan that I want to follow. I also have done a lot of planning here just because I'm trying to figure out my new schedule. I'm figuring out what my filming schedule is going to look like the next few weeks. I am figuring out what April is going to look like for me, so I'm brainstorming some goals, what accent color I'm going to use, and some of these things are not permanent. That's not exactly how they're going to go into my notebook. But this really helps me get things out of my brain and onto paper so I can kind of plan out. I already know my filming schedule is going to change. These goals are a bit different from the goals I had in mind originally. So this is just a kind of like a working rough draft that I'm going to use to set up my new month. And lastly, what I'll use post-it notes for is a long to-do list. Now, this one is not on a post-it note, but it's something that I'm actually working on this week. And the only reason I didn't use a post-it note is because it's a long list and I wanted to organize myself better. But typically I just grab a post-it note, brainstorm everything that I have to get done, that I want to do over the next few days, and I'll stick that right into my notebook and work off of that to make my daily to-do list. And there you have it. That's how I set up the year in my planner. I don't do the same thing every year. These ideas grow, they change. Some things are not useful to me anymore, or I'll come up with better ideas of how I can set something up. And that's what keeps things interesting for me. Let me flip through everything to summarize. I have calendars for birthdays, events, and anything else that's coming up in the future, even into next year, and a space for ideas for next year. I have my yearly goals and focus with space for sub-points and notes, as well as a bar under each goal to track my progress until I achieve it. Here I have a space for my goals and my plans to be subdivided into quarters for the year so that I can more easily focus on specific things and not get distracted. Following that, I have pages for tracking and notes on each of my goals. This is a page for certification, a tracker for how many things I'm getting rid of for my goal of getting rid of 1,000 things, a page for notes and plans for starting therapy, a space that I can use to work on befriending snakes, a 2-page spread where I'll be making notes on the 2 new skills that I want to learn this year. I have space for 1 and 2, as well as space for ideas. These pages are for photos and notes from my goal of exploring 6 new places this year. Here I have space to make notes and rate the 6 new books for growth that I want to read this year, as is my goal. These 4 pages are for the 12 new experiences I want to have this year. Here is my cleaning tracker with everything I want to do throughout the year and how often I need to do it to kind of keep up with my house. After that, I have my prepared and on time logs where I'll be working on notes for different events and whether or not I was able to make it on time and how I can improve in the future. Then I have a few blank pages just in case I need to carry on the logs or one of the other goals requires more space. And finally, I have my migraine tracker where I'll be tracking my migraines and things associated with that. After that, it's the start of the first month. And let's not forget the back of my notebook where I have my to-do list. I am so happy to have everything set up for the year. Now all that's left is to accomplish those goals and take notes. Of course, I am happy to share with you my successes and my failures, if any may come, as we go throughout the year. If you'd like to see more on that, I would appreciate you liking this video and subscribing so you don't miss my journey. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.